this time we're good. Just talked to Rich. He was actually going live on his own page here, so he was a little confused about how it works. Anyways, I'm Jeff Towers. This is Drum Chat Hang, and this is where we do these chats, and you get to hear from some of the best drummers in the world. A lot of them I know personally through being a production assistant and a professional drum shop manager back in the day, and also as a tech and a player myself. So it's kind of exciting. Anyways, we're just waiting for Rich to come over here. I think he's telling everybody on there. So let's see what he's got going on. There he is. Okay, hit him a wave. Give him a yo. All right. All right.
Is that how this shit works?
This is how it works, yo.
Dude, I've never done this split screen Hollywood Squares thing, man. I go on.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having me, man. I went like live on my thing, and I'm thinking to myself, now what? What the hell do I do?
I know. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh god, is he gonna see the messages? Because they're just floating in like crazy. They're bombarding.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So sorry.
I'm glad we figured it out. It's good to see you again. You look fantastic.
Thanks, man. It's great to see you. How's everything in Canada?
You know, still winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. We got that late spring, brisk spring kind of situation in Calgary where it kind of snows, and then it's nice, and then it snows, and then it's nice, and the whole time you're going like, make up your goddamn mind. But
yeah.
I think we're smooth sailing from now on, though. The weather seems to be smoothing it out, and yeah, other than the COVID stuff, I mean, really, things are okay.
Yeah, man. And I got these cool Apple earpods. I mean, I paid good money for them, but I think it's a great product, man. I mean, it's like, you know, a lot of these stock ones will fall out of your ear when you're sweating, when you're playing, or when you're running. They're awesome.
Yeah, they don't fall out. I like the Shure 215s, but I don't like the 215s for doing these. Like I did a chat with Ben Caesar last Thursday, and I was using my 215s, and they were just dragging on my shirt, and it was just really super loud and noisy. So I'm just going straight screen now and using the phone. Whatever.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So what have you been up to? You've been doing acting classes, obviously. We were talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, man. I'm sweating. It's warming up here in Los Angeles. I mean, as soon as we got kind of like the, the bug in our ears that this thing was, happening, we canceled the last 3 shows of our tour, and I jumped right on a plane, and I came out here because I said, if I'm going to be sequestered for 1, 2, 3 months, I don't want to be in my little condo in Nashville, so I jumped out here, and my girlfriend lives here in sunny Los Angeles, so it's, it's just good. I love the sun. I'm a sun chaser. I get seasonal depression, so I love the fact that it's sunny and 70 here every day, and I can see palm trees and get that vitamin D. And I've been studying acting for about 5 years, and it's something that brings me tremendous joy. TV hosting, that kind of stuff, and even created a platform for myself to work on my hosting chops, with my podcast. So just having a blast, man.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying the podcast. I tuned into most of the ones that come up. The one with DJ Silver was kind of funny. I was just with him back in, I guess it would have been September, when he was up with Luke Combs.
Yeah.
So
Luke Combs is on fire, man.
Spinning the discs of steel.
Yeah, totally, man. What feels good? I don't know what it is, but I guess it's a cool thing, like it's a rite of passage or whatever. But Luke Bryan, FGL, Luke Combs, they all open for us for a year or 2, and then they skyrocket to their own success. So it's always cool to be part of that process, and you know what I mean? And then, of course, all the people in their bands and their camps, are gainfully employed, and they're going to be gainfully employed for a decade. So it's always good to see all my friends, doing so well.
Oh, yeah, totally. And it is kind of a cool little circle. Like, the FGL circle and the Luke Combs, Luke Bryan circle, everybody's all pretty, tightly intertwined. And it's always cool to see that. Having doing the production stuff, I run into these guys, like everybody I run into over time. So it's really cool to see that,
Yeah,
and
man.
see them, climbing up and suddenly being from an opening act to like a headlining act and now doing a full tour, headlining across Canada or wherever. That's really awesome.
Yeah, we have, it's such a unique thing. I think that people in the creative arts lift each other up and support each other. We have to, because it's such a grind. There's so much competition, but there's a friendly competition, and we all want to. We realize what we're doing is so unique. We're not like, get your college degree, get to the cubicle, do this for 40 years, 401k, die. Right? It's like this whole process that it consumes every fiber of your being. So. But Nashville is really special in the sense that it's the songwriting capital of the world, and there's so many musicians there, and everybody really does look out for each other, even more than like the acting world in New York and LA, or ballerinas, and it's a little bit more cutthroat, you know what I mean? But in Nashville, there's this really amazing community spirit, and I'm sure a lot of your guests have told you about that, your Ben Caesars and your guys that you've had on,
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, there is something about the Nashville scene, especially at this level. I mean, I don't know what it's like at the bottom level, like when you're you're playing for tips and you're hoping you can scrape by. I bet it's a grind, and I bet it's a huge tug on your heart and having the struggle. But I think once you get to that point, it's cool.
I mean, at the same time, God bless all those people that are down there playing Tootsies and Legends and all those joints down. I mean, where else in the world are there 50 or 60 bars lining city streets, and they have live music from 10 a.m. to 3 a.m., 365 days of the year? There's only one place in the world where that happens, and that's Nashville. And I'm sure a lot of those bands, it's like, I'm sick today, so I'm going to send this other band to go sub for us at Tootsie's. But those guys, like a lot of those things, they never really paid a lot of money. When I moved to Nashville in 1997, and my class of people that I moved to Nashville it was like me and Jim Riley and Lee Kelly, and like there was a bunch of us that all kind of moved there at the same time, and that stuff did not pay down there. But if you get a nice Saturday night shift with a really good band, you can make $2,500 a week if you're willing to kill yourself working 2 shifts a day. So we're talking like 14 shifts a week. You could crush it and make better money than some of these guys are making on the road with major headline artists, which is crazy,
Yeah, totally.
But that's a grind, man. I don't want to work that hard.
Nobody does. Nobody does. Unless they're in it, and then they say, "Oh, I love it." They don't really love it.
Right.
So what's on the future for you guys? Like with everything going down now, is everything still kind of locked down? Don't know what's up, or have you been given any kind of a indication on what the potential stuff is? Or
no indication. So I'm spending my time out here on the West Coast. Our guitar player Jack Sizemore lives over in Florida, and the rest of the band is in Nashville. Jason goes and does his vacations wherever he goes. He's usually in Florida or wherever his spots are, doing family time. So everybody's just working on their individual projects, just kind of waiting to see what's going on a national level. And also, like in Tennessee, it was like one of the last states to close their borders. And so that's going to affect things in probably a dramatic way. I don't think it's really hit Nashville yet. So it's interesting to have, to be living in these 2 cities that are, like Nashville's going to get probably hit pretty hard, and it's already been very bad in Los Angeles. I mean, now it's a law. You can't go outside now without a mask. I mean, I was just running past a couple of Beverly Hills cops, and they did not stop me. I didn't have a mask on, but I think
you don't want to run after them.
I think they've got better things to do, but at the same time, it's interesting to see what's going to happen here. But hey, at least we have a brand new record that's out. And then drumming-wise, I love to give back to the Nashville drumming community and the drumming community of the world. So I have about 9 records, about 8 or 9 Jason Aldean records, and 2 Thompson Square records that I have had completely transcribed. So if there's people that are tuning in that know what don't know what a transcription is, it's basically everything that I played on the drums written out in like Western classical notation. So if you want, you can go to richredmond.com. You're a drummer, you're bored, you want to work on the stuff, you want to work on your reading. That's my gift to the drumming world. You go and you can download all these free transcriptions. It'll end up being a book that thick if you print everything out. And then of course, 5 years ago, I filmed this thing called Drumming in the Modern World, and you can go to drumminginthemodernworld.com, and usually $2.99, but I'm doing a COVID quarantine productivity sale. So for $99, you get nearly 6 hours of drum training videos. It ends up being 120 videos that I have that are like, how to make it a music business and drum solos and just interesting things you can use and steal from me, because I stole from everybody. I stole from all my favorite drummers coming up, and that's what makes you and unique as a drummer. So these are things that I've been kind of like, just people are like, that doesn't look like you anymore. It's like, yeah, I used to dye the hell out of my hair. And, and then fashion trends come and go, and I'm using different drums, and we have some different arrangements happening on some of the songs.
You look distinguished now. That's the difference. You got the gray, we just look distinguished.
Yeah, dude, I'll take it. I'm always the oldest actor in my acting classes, and I love the juxtaposition of being the guy that goes on stage in a rock tee, skinny jeans, Converse, gray hair, but I go out there and I play with the energy of like a 16-year-old kid. I'm hoping to have never, ever, ever lose that fire and that passion and that purpose and that focus. So I can't wait to get back. But at the same time, I am unapologetic about the fact that I really haven't picked up the sticks in 2 weeks. It's like after you've been playing drums for 40, let me see, been playing the drums now for 44 years, like the sticks in my hand every single day. There's so much time in the trenches and there's so much muscle memory there that the 2 weeks is not going to hurt me. The 2 weeks is actually going to help me because I can step away from that and have a new creative juices flowing.
Fresh mind, yeah.
But now it's getting to the point where it's like I called my friends at ProLogic's Percussion, and I was like, hey, can you send me a couple practice pads and a kick pedal pad, and I'm going to sit and I'm going to work at my gal's condo here and just like keep the chops fresh,
Yeah. Well, I saw that kit you had set up. You had a kit set up or something?
Well, out west here, I have a place where I store like tons of kits. But they're all ready to go for gigs and sessions, and they're not set up to play. So as I'm here in quarantine, I'm really just focusing on staying fit, watching a lot of movies, taking my classes, running my businesses, promoting my products, and just kind of waiting to see kind of what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now tell us about your motivational speaking course and what you do in that. I really admire you for doing that, because it is a totally different way of approaching things and using your gifts for music and whatnot.
Oh man!
Thank you. That's a huge thing.
Hey, look at
cool.
Look at these palm trees, guys.
Explain to us how you do it. Oh, palm tree!
Oh. I mean, I love palm trees. I'm a sucker for palm trees.
That makes me miss NAMM.
Right? Well, hey, this is the book. This is the book right here. And if anybody is interested, it's basically the story that came from the sweat of my brow. And you could just go on to Amazon. It's really affordable. It'll arrive at your house in this form. And look, I usually tell people you could take one 90-minute Southwest Airlines flight and it'll be done, but nobody's flying right now. So anyways, this is if you're like Paul Rudd in This Is 40, where he's always on the toilet with his iPad, one toilet session, guys, you will read this book. You can also download it to your iPad, or it's also on audible.com, and I read you the book. So hopefully at the end of the book, you'll realize...
Oh, you did the voice for it?
I did the voice of it because I studied voiceover, and actually
awesome.
I got a voice acting reel and all that kind of stuff. And that's another thing I've been doing is I've been updating all of my... This is a great time for us to catch up on all of our administration. And so, musicians and actors and everybody are updating their demo reels and their websites and getting current with everything. But basically... CRASH, if you look at it, it's basically an acronym, and it stands for commitment, relationships, attitude, skill, and hunger. So commitment, relationships, attitude, skill, and hunger, that's 5 things that people can use to attract success to their life. It's easy to remember. It works for a 5-year-old. It works for a 50-year-old that acts like a 5-year-old. It works for soccer moms. It works for musicians. It works for anybody that wants to navigate life and be a little bit more successful. So starting about probably 12 years ago, maybe longer, I started doing corporate events in addition to drum clinics. So drum clinics, I do them, your Guitar Centers and your Long and McClade's and your Sam Ashes and your 5-star drum shops and high schools and colleges. And it's a fun time. And what I do in my drum clinics is like try to outline more of the practical sides of the music business. These are the things you need to know so you can actually move to a New York or an LA or a Nashville or I don't know, Winnipeg or one of the bigger cities in what's the New York City of in Canada? Montreal?
Yeah, for music, I'd say Vancouver, Montreal, or Toronto.
Gotcha.
Those are kind of the 3 kind of.
Yeah.
Montreal is probably the coolest. Toronto is probably the biggest, and it's pretty central, like above New York State.
Yeah, I love Toronto, and I've been there like maybe 5 times, but I've only been there like for 24 to 36 hours at a time, which does it zero justice, right? So, anyways, the event is fun, and it's not completely unique. I mean, it's like the guys that are doing it consistently would be like me, Mark Schulman. Kenny Aronoff has been doing some corporate speaking where his focus is more about on staying relevant through all the seasons of your life and then committing to health and fitness, because health is wealth. If you don't have your health, you can't do anything else in life. And my buddy Mark Schulman has kind of an angle where he talks a lot about the ABCs of life, where attitude affects your behavior and behavior determines the consequences of your life. Me, it's all about the CRASH concept. So I come out, somebody like Cisco or Hewlett Packard or Johnson Johnson will hire me. I'll come running out. I'll do a screaming drum solo. Then I'll talk about commitment. Then I'll play a #1 song that people have heard on the radio. I'll talk about relationships, play a hit song. So it's a talk play format, keeps everybody engaged so people don't get bored. And, everyone's attention span now is about 7 minutes. So I talk for about 7 minutes on a concept, and then I play a 4-minute song, and then I play talk about 7 minutes, and then I play a song, and before you know it, the thing is over, and we've had a great time, and hopefully people have learned something, hopefully they've laughed, and hopefully they saw the physical manifestation of my passion and my purpose, which is to play drums and affect people in a positive way. I'm not just up there sweating and playing the songs, just like, time to make the donuts, time to play Hicktown again, for the 2000th time. I'm trying to play Hicktown like it's the first time I've ever played it and entertain the hell out of you, but hopefully at the end of that experience, I will have affected you in such a positive way or maybe changed your life in some way. So I implore you to kind of look at their jobs and what they're doing in their life and at a deeper level and just pivot a little bit and say, I have the ability to actually change people's lives through what I do. Are you kidding? Music? Can you imagine life without music, guys? I mean, this is a major calling that we have, and I'm so grateful and so proud to be part of the creative arts.
Absolutely. Well, I'll say this: like every time I've seen you play, about 4 times, I think, roughly.
Yeah.
Two in Alberta, Calgary, and Red Deer and stuff like that. Actually, one of them was, I remember it was a Thanksgiving weekend in Red Deer. The night before, one of your trucks tipped over.
Oh my God, that? That's right.
Yeah, they lost the whole truck. Driver was okay, luckily. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I couldn't believe that. I'm like, wait, you guys don't have all your trucks here? And then one of the drivers was like, yeah, we lost them. Check out the pictures. And I was like, yeah. It was nuts. But every time I've seen you play, there is an approach that you take to it that is pretty unique. And I think that's what's making you who you are, obviously.
Oh, thanks.
And it's the freshness, like you were saying, like every time you play, you want to play like it's your first time playing it. You're still stoked about being there.
Yeah.
And it comes off, and you can see it from the back of the room to the right beside you. You can see it the whole way, and that is a huge, huge, huge talent that not everybody understands. Like, so many times you play the same song over and over again, and you're tired of this shit. It's fucking boring after it. But it never shows on you, and that is awesome. So thank you, because I mean,
oh man,
when I see that, I instantly what I think is like, okay, what is he thinking about? So what is your trick? What is your trick to be 100% fresh every time you play?
Oh my God, I'd have to kill you if I told you.
We're gonna sell this shit right here.
I'm schwitzing in here. It's a little hot in here. This is something that's really easy to remember. A studio musician, this is what they say. A studio musician plays the song for the first time like they've played it 1,000 times. A live drummer plays the song 1,000 times like they're playing it the first time. And that's why sometimes people see a division in the sand between those two skill sets. There's a lot of guys that grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, the golden age. I call it the velvet rope cocaine era of the music business, when things were really, really healthy. And guys were like, man, I don't need to go out on the road, man. I don't need to leave my family. I sleep in the same bed every night. I get up every day. I do 3 recording sessions a day. And a lot of those guys are my friends, they're my colleagues, they're my heroes. Those guys are still doing recording sessions, but they're also jumping in bunks, getting on buses, getting on flights, and they're going to play with your Bob Segers and your Amy Grants and your Trisha Yearwoods. They're like, yeah, I'll go be a weekend warrior and play every Friday, Saturday, or every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, do sessions during the week, play from their home studios. To me, I never limited myself. I saw myself as a creative being. I saw myself as a musician that could work by thinking musically and trying to come up with a part that would work for a song unselfishly, unapologetically, something that would be around forever. And I hear myself in elevators and department stores and supermarkets and on radios, and when people are tailgating and they're drinking their beer before the concert and they're cranking our music, it's like, wow, that's cool. I'm so glad that I focused on that. And then also the ability to play live, which is to play with the execution of a studio drummer, but also to insert that sweat factor, that youth pill, that approach of a 16-year-old boy that just got his first drum set and joined his first garage band. I want to stay tapped into that. And if for some reason there's some time at some show and I'm playing Hicktown and I'm thinking, oh my God, I didn't pick up almond butter, almond milk, I forgot to pay the cable bill. If my mind is wandering, I'll tell myself to immediately get back on track, because how many drummers would kill me, assassinate me to be in that same chair? So every time you play your instrument, you have to earn the right to be there. And you're only as good as the next time that you're going to play your instrument. You can never just say, ta-da, I have arrived, because you never arrive.
Yeah, it's a constant growing.
Yeah,
that's true. Now, now when you were saying when you get caught in thought when you're playing and you bring yourself back, do you do meditation?
Yeah, I think drumming is meditative.
Fully, yeah.
I think drumming is meditative. Someone asked, Rich, do you play the same way recording as you do live, energy-wise? I mean, sometimes you have to play, I'm going to write it here, read the room, right? So if I'm going to play at that supermarket grand opening, or if I'm going to play at the Bluebird Cafe, or if I'm going to play at the Hotel Cafe in Los Angeles and I'm playing with a singer-songwriter and everyone's using wedges, I have to play the room. So I might have to play with brushes or my hands or plastics, and I would have rivet cymbals, and I would choose things differently than if I was playing for 20,000 people in an amphitheater in the middle of the summer with Jason Aldean. I've got 20-inch crash cymbals, but still, it's all about the balance on the instrument. It's about the mixing yourself. It's about having a consistent tone, playing great time, having that smile on your face, relating to the other guys that are on stage with you, making their job easy. So you just have to listen to a lot of music, watch a lot of people do it, and then know what's appropriate for that situation. But the thing that's consistent is I'm going to give you my all. I'm going to give you my focus. I'm going to sweat. I'm going to try to exceed expectations. And when you exceed expectations constantly and consistently through every season of your life, you will always work. You will always play your instrument. You will always be able to buy your Converses. You will always be able to pay your mortgage. If you want to put the premium gas in your car, you'll be able to do it. If you want to get the sushi rolls, you could do it. But you have to earn it by constantly exceeding expectations. If people expect a 10 from you, give them a 12,
That's awesome. That's great advice. That is really,
Michael Berg's on there, man. What's up, Michael Berg, the greatest case maker in the world?
There you go.
Yeah.
As in Humenberg, of course. Yeah.
You were asking about
that was you know what? That's where I met you the first time. Was at a NAMM show, and you were at the Humenberg case thing, and I walked up and I chatted with you for a bit.
Yeah, man.
I don't even remember what year it was. At least 12 years ago, 13 years ago, something like that.
Jeez, buddy.
It was before Jason was really starting to peak.
Yeah, okay, so 12 years ago, that would have been like 2008. So we were right before Big Green Tractor and She's Country, which came out in 2009, which was kind of a tipping point for us.
And those are big bangers, yeah. Those are big banger songs. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I meant. Yeah, it's to welcome Humenberg. Thanks for joining.
For sure, man.
Awesome. Sweet. I like their cases too. I don't have any, unfortunately, but I do like their cases.
Well, you were asking me about meditation, and there's also there's transcendental meditation. There's meditation where you repeat mantras. There's guided meditation. There's meditation where you just do your own thing and you listen to music. There's so many different ways to do it. For me, the first thing I do consistently, constantly, is first thing when I wake up, over coffee or in the shower, I do my gratitude list, and I pick 5 different things every day that I'm grateful for. And it could be massive things like my health, my family, my new love, the California sun, a roof over my head. And then it could be something as simple as like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I grabbed some orange juice and some Tito's vodka so I can make some screwdrivers for Sunday. Or I really love this new pair of Chuck Taylors. Or I'm grateful for this, anything. And it elevates you and it grounds you and it lets you know that, hey, man, there's so many things to be thankful for. I mean, there's people in places in the world that are drinking the same water that they are peeing in. And we have all these modern conveniences and we can chase our dreams and we can watch Netflix. And it's, when you're in that position of gratitude, it really is a great place. It'll create this positive framework for your day.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I like guided meditations, usually on the Buddhist side of things.
Nice.
And I try to do. My lady got me into it, and we do it a couple times a day, especially during this crisis. We've been doing it more, so averaging about anywhere from 20 to 35 minutes of straight, in contact meditation, and I think it really helps kind of clear yourself and bring things a little bit more back to.
It sounds like the next thing for you guys is going to be some tantric sex.
No comment.
Where's the symbol? Hey, this is a fun conversation. We only got 14 people on here, but no one's asking any questions.
I don't know why people aren't asking questions. You can ask questions to the left of that thing. There's a question mark box. If you put it in there, we'll get it. It'll pop up on both screens.
Yeah, man. Now I know how to do this. I can go live and I can pull friends in. I think this is a great thing. But I also love the fact that people aren't asking about, like, Rich, what kind of pedals do you use? Because I'm not into pedal questions. I mean, I'll answer your pedal questions, but I'd rather talk about the big picture stuff, man.
Yeah, this is big picture and small picture to an extent, but never about gear. Well, it's about gear a little bit of nerdy about gear, but it's never about, well, you're not doing your flams are incorrect on that one part in the pass of said song.
Yeah, I mean, your Canadian accent isn't too bad. I didn't hear you say a boot. It's not a boot.
The boot. It's never a boot. The flams. more American than I am Canadian because I talk to more Americans. That's probably what it is.
So our friend Deluche _drums, who I probably know, I just am blind and I can't see his avatar there, is he asked me about my favorite ride cymbal from Sabian, and I like to mix and match it up. I've used the AA 24-inch bash ride over the years. I've also been a massive fan of the 20-inch AAX Evolution ride, and then in recent years I've been recording a lot of the records that I record over there at Treasure Isle Studios in Nashville with a 21-inch groove ride. It's really dry and fun. There's also some cool legacies, and I also have a one-of-a-kind ride cymbal. I think there was only 200 made. It's the Carmine Appice signature ride cymbal that's from about 10 years ago. What was great with the relationship with Sabian is that when I first joined up with them, I didn't know what I liked. So God bless them. They were just sending me all sorts of stuff to field test on the road and in the studio. And so my collection of Sabian cymbals has grown to, like, I've got 12-inch hi-hats, 13-inch hi-hats, 14-inch hi-hats, a lot of 15s, a lot of 16s, and then ride cymbals that are 20, 21, 22, 24. All-time favorite cymbal that has ever come out of Sabian is the 21-inch Holy China that Chad Smith and our friend Chris Stanky created. It's the greatest China boy of all time.
Do you remember how they released that? There was so much controversy because I was working in a drum shop in Calgary when this happened. All of the church companies that were buying cymbals and stuff, they saw the cardboard cutout of Chad Smith dressed as a priest, and all of them switched to Zildjian.
I mean that kind of stuff happens.
It's too bad.
It's very Chad Smith. It's very Chad Smith.
Oh yeah, totally. He's a big, keep pushing that button as hard as he can. How many fingers can I hit it with it? Yeah, which is, kind of part of the charm of him. I also remember being at a drum clinic and he was playing, and then he goes, well, the first person who gets naked gets the drums for free. And then some kid took his clothes off, and we're like, this is not okay.
That's right.
So that, again, total Chad Smith moment. Wacky. Another great dude, too. Super awesome dude. And Sabian guy. So.
Sabian, yeah. Hey, man, for you young players out there, or you guys that you're aspirational, you're looking for that next leap, how many times do we get the questions like, what are endorsements? How does that whole thing work? And here's the deal. Every musical instrument manufacturer right now is creating instruments of the highest quality. So it's going to come down to you, your relationship with the instrument, and your relationship with the people at the company. So, like, I can literally text every president of every company that I play the products. So your DW, Sabians, your ProMarks, your all these companies that I've cultivated relationships with over the last 20 years, it's a symbiotic relationship. So sometimes you're the shark, and sometimes you're the little fish that swims on the back of the shark and cleans the shark. But the thing is that we both have a purpose, and my purpose is to, when I play the award shows, you're going to see the Sabian logo in front of all those millions of people. When you hear me on the radio, and if you're lucky enough to read the liner notes on a record, you're going to see that Rich Redmond endorses Sabian cymbals. And when you go to an educational event, the first thing I'm going to tell people is that today's teaching event was brought to you by DW, Remo, ProMark, Sabian, Gator, Humesenberg, etc. And I play these instruments because I love them, but also because there's people at those companies that champion me and they believe in me. And everything in life comes down to relationships, and that's why it's the second letter of CRASH. Commitment, relationships in life. Because in the music business, it's not about resumes. It's not about LinkedIn. It's not about Monster.com. It's about people going, call Jeff. Jeff will show up on time. He'll be well-dressed. He has a smile on his face. He can take a joke. He can dish a joke. He'll be over-prepared. His drums sound great. He's the first one there. He's the last one to leave. Why wouldn't you want to play music with this guy? That's what you want.
That's the same thing that I always tell people, too. I play for Mapex, Remo, Vader and Electro Voice microphones. I'm still trying to get on with Sabian. And I used to have a deal with Sabian when Terry Ryan was still the rep. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, I've had
Terry Ryan was awesome. I miss him a lot.
many cocktails with Terry Ryan.
Have you ever kissed a cod because of Terry Ryan? Straight up Newfoundland question, going back to your other post there.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
so what else is going on out there, everyone? Anybody got any questions about this stuff? It's like,
yeah, any more questions?
I feel like it's Friday night, but for me, my schedule is I have acting class. It's we're doing all this via Zoom nowadays. So I have an acting class that goes from like noon to like practically 5 p.m. on Thursday. So the whole week is shaped around preparing for that Thursday. And then on that Thursday, we get on there and we have to do our monologues and our performances. And we get graded and we get ripped apart. And this feels like a Friday night to me. Because after class I kind of like take the night off. Maybe I'll smoke a cigar, hang out with my girl, we'll have some pizza. It feels like Friday night to me, man.
So when you're doing the Zoom acting class now? Do you find a huge difference between it being what it normally is? Like, it's not always online, is it? Or is it usually
No, acting classes are happening like they happen every hour on the hour around Los Angeles and every strip mall and every corner. And it's the Zoom thing is we're going to be going. The world has already changed. So like there's a lot of acting auditions that happen online where they call it self-taping. So say I want to go in and my agent says that they want me for one of the thugs on NCIS. So I get against a white wall and then someone reads with me and then I have to imagine the scenario and bring it to life. That gets squashed into a .mov and then I send it through the ones and the zeros of the matrix and it goes into a casting director's inbox and they have to look at it and go, is he the right age, color, height, do we like his acting? I mean, it's tough. I mean, if you think the music business is tough, I mean, it's there's so many factors that can work against you in that whole thing. But it's really, you just look at the green light on your Mac, and that's like the camera. So if I'm a TV host, which I also study, you stare down the barrel of the camera, right? Now, if you're an actor, you always avoid staring down the barrel of the camera. So you just adjust your eye line off to either side of the camera light on your Mac. It's interesting.
Now, do you
Happy Friday. What's your favorite cocktail? Well, you know what I'm drinking right now, guys? Little Tito's and soda. So it's a skinny drink. It's going to affect your waistline in the least worst way.
Got to keep that girlish figure, I do really enjoy that they keep...
Hey, we're not bad. We got 13 people on here. Somehow we've kept the attention of 13 people.
Now.
Who wants to ask a drummer a question? Anything.
Yeah,
or did you have questions for me, Jeff?
Oh, I've always got topics, but if anybody on here has questions, like absolutely, like fire away. I'm seeing that my feed is kind of low on here. I don't know why this is not.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tori, I know Tori well. I have a student, Sarah Cardeal. She's the real deal Cardeal in Connecticut. And in Bolton, Connecticut. I think it's where Michael Bolton is from. Just kidding. But anyways, Tori is like her street team captain and really kind of helps promote her on the socials. And she's just a great person and she loves tequila. So that's her drink of choice. But crazy stuff, man.
Wacky stuff for sure. Wacky stuff. I did have a question. Actually, I had a comment first. I do kind of like that you keep getting cast as a cop. I think that it for some reason it suits you. I don't know if it's the cut of your jib or whatnot, but it's believable. And I don't know if it's because I've seen so many. I'm older. I'm like close to your age, like 40, 45. So
yeah.
I remember Chips. And instantly when I see that, right away it's like modern Eric Estrada.
Oh man, hey,
in a good way.
Everyone's like Ponch, I get the Ponch thing, and there's a lot of people that are way too young The Pond reference. But there was a show in the 1970s called Chips, and all the chase scenes were like done, dun dun. It was like that whole thing. So we got some questions here. It says,
rattle.
The Bible slap. It says, what current trend do you find overrated right now? Well, here's the deal with modern music making. Nothing is completely original anymore. And think about it. You got 12 notes on the piano. Every song has already been written. So like when I tell people about know the history of Western music from the last 100 years and know the people that were the leaders in the field. So if you're a drummer, you got to know about John Robinson and Jeff Porcaro and Steve Gadd, and you got to know about Hal Blaine, and you have to know your people so you can reference them. But everything is just a rehashing or a reframing, or you build a house, you put different flavored frosting on it. Is it a confectionery sugar, or is it cream cheese based, or what is it? But when we're in the Nashville studio, it's like, and I'll hear the demo of the song, and I'll think to myself, oh yeah, it's kind of like a Who thing, kind of like, or they're like, hey, think Bruce Springsteen, Heartland Rock, or think early Mellencamp, or think early Petty, or think, and then there's a lot of the things that have happened in country recently is it's like, obviously we're going in a hip hop and not even cutting edge hip hop, but just like really safe. There's like an 808 sound, and there's the trap hats. And then so we're coloring the music with these pop stylings, but for the most part, the storytelling is the same. It's like 3 chords and the truth, and we're talking about the problems of middle America, what to do on Friday night, relationship problems, the plight of the farmer, love, loss, like parties, like all that kind of stuff that we listen to constantly and consistently. So it gets to the point where people chase trends, and of course things all start to sound alike. And that's just the curse of popular music, and that's why they call it popular music. There's a lot of great music out there that you'll never hear because there's some guy in his bedroom somewhere that is writing some incredible stuff, and maybe he doesn't want to, or maybe he's 50 years old and he has a day job and he has a great family and he doesn't want to go out and buy a van and go have to play college nightclubs. You'll never hear that guy. But the people that write music, they say that they're going to move to Nashville, they play around town, they do showcases, they get a record deal. Maybe they can try to change the rules. Like, I was lucky enough to play with a guy who changed the freaking rules. It's not rocket science, but we were the first band to bring drop D tuning and crunchy hi-hats and huge backbeats, and it sounded different, thank God. But even us, we'll release the occasional stinker that's kind of like a trend chaser because you want to stay relevant, you want to stay on the radio. But overall, I'm happy that I work for a guy that's always taking chances. But you can't get around music sounding the same after a while. It's just going to happen.
That totally makes sense. We got 2 questions here. Somebody's asking about how you get your amazing snare sound.
Oh, nice.
And we got somebody else asking about electronic triggers and what you use with Aldean.
So cool. Thank you guys for the questions. So the snare sound is, everyone just freaks out, and like DW knows this. Like, I have so many DW snare drums and they're so wonderful to me. But here's the deal. The 3 most recorded snare drums in history are the Ludwig Acrolite, the Ludwig Black Beauty, and the Ludwig Supraphonic. Okay? So if you could start with the Acrolite. You can get it in a pawn shop for $75 used. That drum will do everything. And then there's the Acrolite, and then there's the Black Beauty. And then these are hit-making drums, right? So almost every Aldean song, we're talking like well over a body of work, well over 100 songs. Most every song was recorded with an off-the-shelf, purchased at Forks Drum Closet, Black Beauty, or Supraphonic. So we're talking, if you have $500 in your pocket, you can have that drum, right? put it on a stand, put a head on it. You know how to tune it. You know how to hit it. How do you get a good sound on your instrument? Okay, well, that comes from private lessons. That comes from, this is how you hold the drumstick. This is how you strike the drum. This is your stroke. This is how you get a great sound. Your technique is a means to an end to get a great tone on your instrument. So you combine a drum that is used on a lot of classic recordings. So I'm smart enough to go buy that drum. I'm a Remo artist. I put on my favorite CS Blacked Out or my Emperor or my P77, and then I have my tone and my touch. I can whack the shit out of that drum, and then there's a 57 on the bottom and a 57 on the top, and it's going through a signal path with a world-class engineer that recorded the Knack and Blondie and Pat Benatar and then all the Aldean records. And so there's this team of people that know, that are working together to get this incredible snare drum sound, right? So I can't take all the credit for it, but if you have great tone, great touch, you have a pretty decent drum, a relatively fresh head, and you know how to tune a drum, you can get that same awesome, great sound, right? So if you need something for your birthday, request a Black Beauty, And
Absolutely.
and every manufacturer has a copy of a Black Beauty, including DW, and they would own up to it straight up. They'd be like, "Of course, we have to have that sound." And then as far as electronics, I think that the Roland SPD-SX is one of the greatest inventions in the percussion industry in the last decade, and you can have one for $750. It's worth every penny. Put it on layaway. It's a sampler. It's a click track. It's all right there, man. And so you get one of those suckers, and it's great. You can trigger Ableton. You can put trigger pedals into it. You can trigger your drums. It's so freaking powerful. It's incredible. People see little triggers on my drums. I'm a Roland artist, so I put the Roland state-of-the-art triggers on all the toms. They are not triggering a sound that goes out to front of house. What they're doing is they're basically being used to open and close a gate. So a gate is when you hit a tom in the real world, it goes doom, and it dies out, right? So what a gate does, it limits the decay of the drum. So doom, and it closes, which is very important when you're playing, say, an arena for 20,000 people. You can't have the drum going doom, right? Because it's going to interfere with other frequencies, so you have to create a close of that sound. So I use the triggers to open and close the gates for the front of house engineer. And we have an amazing front of house engineer. We stole him from Michael McDonald like a decade ago, and we've been working together for, I think 11 years now. I can't believe it. So I hope that helps. And my good buddy Drew Wilson, who I love very much, he's hosted me for clinics. He's given me rides all over the Bay Area, and he's rented me his drums many times. He said, I got asked to record some drums for my church. The problem is there's no demo or tempo. I have a blank canvas. Lucky you, Drew. Now, it's exciting. You don't have to copy anybody. You can literally draw on all your years of inspiration and create your own Mona Lisa. You know what I mean? But maybe start simple. I mean, every groove in the world is going to be either based on boom, whack, or boom, whack, boom, boom, whack, or boom, whack, boom, boom, whack, boom, boom, whack, boom, boom, whack, or boom, whack, boom, boom, whack, or boom, boom, whack, boom, boom, whack, or 4 on the floor, or boom, got boom, right? And those are all eighth note based. And then when things get a little bit slower, you get into things like dish, do, da, boom, do, ba, or doom, ba, ga, do, da, or boom, ga, do, ga. So the main thing you're going to have to listen to is the rhythmic structure of the vocal, and then what the other instruments are doing. What's the guitar doing? Most importantly, what's the bass doing? Are you going to match everything note for note with the bass player, or are you going to play a pattern, lock a pattern down, and have the bass player go a little bit around it, So in recent years in popular music, the bass hugs the kick drum pattern a lot more than it did in the past. So if you want to hear, check out The Who. So you got a very busy drummer and a very busy bass player, and it's almost like they're on their own planet, but it still works. And then you can listen to Motown guys, where the Motown drummers would play a pretty simple pattern, and then you would have James Jamerson playing some really busy, almost like Another guy would be Rocco Prestia with Tower Power, and he would be playing a lot of 16th notes on the bass. And then Garibaldi also kind of playing busy, but it wasn't unobtrusive because there were so many little grace notes and things. So again, this goes back to the idea that you have to know your drummers. When you know your drummers, that shit will creep into your DNA, and then it'll manifest itself. And when you're on a recording session, you can't be like, guys, give me till tomorrow. No, it's like, give me until 20 minutes from now. They're expecting the song to be done.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, you're paying the pay, and you're being paid to do it.
Yeah,
so
man.
You're paying the studio to do it.
So I hope
Do you ever do you have a setup where you're able to do recording like remotely, like a home situation?
I do, yeah. I have Crash Studio in Nashville, suburban Nashville, Tennessee, and I have 3 DW performance kits, a bebop kit, a couple collector's kits, some 1974 Ludwig, some Ludwig Vista lights, wall full of snare drums, a closet full of percussion, just whatever you need, mic'd up and ready to go. And I've done tracks for people in Japan, Europe, and Canada, South America, and it's great. I love it, but I'm not a studio rat. It's like maybe 2% of my income. Sometimes people will be like, hey, man, I got this cool band. It's called the Warlords of Mars, man, and we got like 12 songs, and I want you to kind of sound like Taylor Hawkins and Keith Moon, but coming through Rich Redmond. I was like, great. And so I'll go with my engineer. We'll crack out 12 songs. The files go to him. He pays me, PayPal, cha-ching, done. And I like that. It's fun. And I think every drummer needs one of those setups. It doesn't excite me as much as some other things because I'm just sitting there alone. And, but I mean, look at this. Now more than ever, we're going to be making music. So this is going to be something that, and when I'm in Los Angeles, I have 2 studios that I use. I go to my friend Mark Schulman's studio in Venice. He has a studio, so I'll just pay him an hourly rate to track out here. And then I have my friend Anthony Tiny Bayuso, and he's got a place in North Hollywood called the Boom Room, and he's got drums. So I go in there and I just crank stuff out. So it's really about like finding solutions to all your problems and solving those problems, and also how you can solve problems for other people. So if you're a singer-songwriter and you need me to play drums, whether I'm home in Nashville or home in Los Angeles, I can get the job done for you, and you want to be able to do that. You want to have some sort of a setup where you can go, look, I get amazing sounds for you. This is my price. And, that's the whole thing, putting putting a dollar value on your talent is one of the biggest challenges that we'll always have to do as creatives. It's like, what's the going rate? Is it per song? Is it per hour? Is it a day rate? Is it a project rate? And you just have to determine those things for yourself and kind of experiment with those things,
How, that's a really good thing to talk about here, because I know a lot of people are getting into doing tracks for other people. What is a fair rate, or does it depend per person, or what do you think? What do you think is fair when you do get approached to do those kind of things as a drummer, maybe who's not obviously as established?
Yeah.
Like, what would be a good base rate to start at?
Well, it's all over the map. I mean, you got these guys that sometimes are teaching that are like really qualified drummers that are teaching at Guitar Center for like $30 an hour, and then they have to pay 50% to Guitar Center. It's like, what the hell are you doing, guys? Don't do that. And I love Guitar Center and I love music education. But if you're charging $30 an hour for drum lessons, you are shooting yourself in the foot and you're bringing it down for the rest of us. Think about this. You're a masseuse. You go to school for what, 6 months, maybe a year, and you make $1 a minute plus usually a $20 tip. So every hour you're making $80. Why, as a drummer who maybe has a college degree, who's been playing your instrument for 20 years, are you going to charge $30 frickin' dollars? You're an idiot. Raise the price. Respect yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't get it.
Really?
But hey, there's people out there that are just like, hey man, I need to work, and Guitar Center finds me the students, and I go and I do that, right? But we're also in a world where you can promote your own self on social media, and I mean, if you've been playing drums for 20 years and you're charging $30 an hour, it's too cheap. It's too cheap, guys. You got to look yourself in the mirror and go, I am worth $1 a minute, right? $1 a minute. So it's kind of a tangent I get on, but it is unique for everyone. There's guys in Nashville that have had great jobs and get a nice home set up, and they're like $100 a song, and they can go in and they can go, I'm going to do 10 songs today and make $1,000, right? And then as your reputation increases or goes up, you could be like, I'm not saying I don't want to tell you what I charge, but I could say I'm $300 a song, or I'm $500 a song, or it could be a thing where it's like one song on a record is $500. If you want me to do the whole record, then I can prorate it. There's guys that do that kind of a thing. And there's also a thing where guys are like, well, is it a major label project? Is it ever going to be heard? Or is this some dude in South Dakota that's been writing country songs and he's just going to play this for his friends and family? And he's like, look at dude, I'll do the whole record for you. I'll crank it out, $500, which ends up being $50 a song. And then you have to start thinking like, is there any overhead? Do you have an engineer? Are you doing it yourself? I always have an engineer because I just want to think about what I have to do and execute, and then I build the cost of the engineer. And I think my friend Kenny Aronoff may do this as well, where it's like, you do the engineering, you do the file management, you mail everything off to the client, I'm going to give you the scratch. And then so he walks away with a rate, I walk away with a rate, the client's happy, we've made music, da-da,
Yeah, exactly. That is a good way to do it, yeah. I've heard of the floating scale before, in recording too. Like there's like a couple guys that are really big that'll do a record for an indie band that has a budget of like here, and then they'll do the next week they'll do the Foo Fighters. So the budget's here. But you're getting the same sort of, maybe not the same end product because you're dealing with other things that are factoring in there, but you're getting the same person working on your record on that floating scale, which is nice, for sure.
Yeah,
I think that's key to it, right?
Yeah, you get guys that are like, hey, man, I'm playing on the new, Kenny Aronoff's playing on the new Satriani record, and then you get like Aaron Sterling is playing on the new Vanessa Carlton record, but then on their off days, they might be cranking out things for songwriters in middle America and the stuff will never get heard, but that person gets to go, oh my God, I got Kenny Aronoff on my project, and so it's like the music industry has so changed. The acting world is so changed. There's never been a better time to be an actor because there's like 600 television shows between all the streaming services, you know what I mean? And then also doing my speaking. I mean, I was having a great year and I had all these things booked, and then this thing hits, and then the next thing that we're all doing right now as speakers is we're trying to pivot and figure out how we're all going to be able to do highly engaging, high-level speeches / performances from our home studios. So I'm actually going to be doing corporate speeches from Crash Studios. I'll have it all rigged up to where I can say, now I'm going to perform for you guys, right? Yeah, and the camera's on me, and it's exciting, and they see the sweat, and then I get off and I wipe my brow. Yeah, and then I'm speaking and engaging and giving away content, and I'm never going to have to leave my frickin' house. It's crazy.
That's like a pretty okay thing, when it comes down to it. I mean, being set up to do that kind of thing, man, that's a big game changer. Being able to do things remotely like that.
But I would still rather walk out on that stage and because when you're at a big corporate event and say there's 500 people there, they've been at this convention all day, they've watched Death by PowerPoint for the last 10 hours, and you're the closing guy on the first day or the last day, and you walk out and they're like, why is this drummer speaking to our startup app company. Like, what the hell is this? And you have to win them over, and it's so visceral, and you see the confusing looks, and then but you're sweating and you're passionate and you're telling your story, and then the 5 minutes go by and they're like, oh, okay, I'm into this. I get it. You know, I'm not going to be able to see anybody on Zoom or WebEx.
Yeah, that's true. We got the 18-second warning here.
Oh my god!
We got a clock counting it down. Yeah, they limit to an hour on this.
Wow!
So I want to take this time and thank you, man. This has been awesome, and I know I'm going to see you in the future.
I would love it. Thanks so much for having me.
Sooner than later.